Mahakam wasn't built in a day.
Unforgiving winters come. Fear no snow nor icy gale. Fight the frost with mugs of ale.
Your health, Sir Dwarves. May your beards grow long, but never tangle round your ankles.
Duvel shice!
My friend, rivers dry up, mountains crumble, but dwarves are a constant. Rodolf Kazmer, a humble dwarf. Dwarves are the stout, hardy folk of the mountains, an elder race that preceded humans, settling in the mountains of Mahakam, in which the majority of dwarves have resided since time immemorial, for they live an awfully long time, for centuries even. In this video I hope to teach you all a bit about dwarves, but if there's anything I miss or exclude, please let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me concerning the Witcher world. Anyway, on with the video. As I've already mentioned, the dwarves make their home in Mahakam, the capital of which is Mount Carbon, a snowy mountain range and a treacherous path for those ill-equipped or without a dwarven guide. Blizzards, ferocious gales and free-falling avalanches are common hazards when settling mountains. Nevertheless, the dwarves have made their home here, and are perhaps better off in comparison to other elder folk. For as here they remain isolated, and out of sight and mind from squabbling human lords and warring powers on the continent. Mahakam lines the eastern border of Temeria, and is officially part of the Northern Realms. Despite the kingdom's distaste and a xenophobia for non-humans, the flow of coin and trade sweetens any relation.
Greedy little magpies. Do anything for gold, they will.
And it remains unaffected by prejudice for the most part. Mahakam and the dwarves in general are a great exporter of goods. Minerals and precious metals make for sturdy war machines and sharper steel. The dwarves value coin more so over political affiliation, and hold no bones about trading to the north and south. Both Nilfgaard and the Northern Realms benefit from dwarven trade.
They forge the blades the Black Ones put to our throats. Am I not right?
They certainly have a sense for entrepreneurial endeavours, as many dwarves that leave the mountains become traders, bankers, or some may walk a different path, but many prosper in human lands, despite aforementioned xenophobia. I mentioned banking, as a fair share of banks are influenced and owned by dwarfs.
We tried and true methods for collecting debts.
By families such as the Giancardi or Cemfanelli. Their branches expand across the continent. We see one such bank in Toussaint, for instance, where Geralt endures a paper chase more taxing than hunting a golden dragon.
What do you mean, wrong window? I was told I'd get permit A38 here.
Please remain calm, sir, or you'll rupture a vein.
Of course, there is also Vimy Vivaldi, a Novigrad banker and exchanger of coin. It seems that coin crossing palms is the best insurance against non-human hatred, as dwarfs seem to hold their own rather well in human lands. Perhaps only the rich ones. Dwarves, some say, greedily hoard gold. Yet a mountain of gold unspent is insurance against the often dangerous neighbours below.
We hoard it all, in vaults, great piles. Down bottom lie ducats dating from the reign of that dozy ham-shanker King Dagrid.
And you do not put it to use? Acquire anything for it? Then it's true what folks say, that you love gold too much to part with it. Hoard it for pleasure, as dragons do.
Point of fact, that there's pure drivel. Gold's a metal like any other, just yellow. We hoard it for our safety.
Your safety? I fear again, I simply don't follow.
Couldn't it be simpler? Soon as human folk get it in their heads we's a thorn in their side, we'll spend it. All of it, in a jiffy. Excess coin supply, that's called. Matter of days, gold'll be worth less than sawdust. And you're tossing banks and economies, bam, on their arses. There'll be nothing left of them. They'll cave in faster than a mine shaft with rotten props.
Control of the economy and trade is a powerful tool. If by the dwarves it is inflated, that it could be enough to topple kingdoms quicker than Nilfgaardian occupation.
Be bold. Take on challenges, risks even. But before you set out to do anything, buy yourself some proper insurance.
But what of Dwarvish culture? Of those that do not assimilate with humans? Those that would prefer to keep their mountain territory untainted by those below? The Mahakam dwarves follow the Four Dwarves Codex, within every margin to boot. There are no detractions from this most sacred text, for it is a doctrine containing every law, custom and tradition upheld, and is respected by all self-respecting dwarves of Mahakam. Despite its somewhat needlessly complex and pedantic rules and regulations.
The code says thus. 'Tis a crime most grievous to whistle in a mine. Any dwarf committing the cock-up
shall be placed in a barrel at once. Said barrel then to be rolled down a mountain.
Mahakam certainly wasn't built in a day. The hard labour of dwarven architects and miners shows within their stone halls, engraved arches and snow-capped cities. Of course, this architecture exists below the mountains too, as the settlement of Vergen is of dwarven design, which we explore in The Witcher 2. Most of the dwarves' technical ability and prowess for engineering in fact comes from the gnomes, who dwarves coexist with in the mountains. Though rarely seen outside the mines, they're allied to the dwarves of Mahakam and work to produce the finest steel and the most cutting-edge inventions of all kinds. Artisans of their chosen crafts for sure. Perhaps I'll do a video on gnomes at some point in the future, as they're an interesting race and almost completely excluded from the Witcher games. In my last video on language in the Witcher world, I left out the dwarves, so I'll speak on their language here instead. Being elder folk, dwarves did indeed speak a language of their own, unrelated to the common tongue of the north or the elder speech of elves. There are a few examples of Dwarvish language used in game, mostly insults, but it gives us a taste of their colourful speech.
Double shice!
I can't be arsed.
Many words are based off of German, at least concerning the books, as the author has said as much. They've also adopted a runic alphabet of sorts for engraving, similar to the first runes of humans. It is a fierce and abrasive language to fit folk with equally fiery spirits. The original language of the dwarves, however, is often unused as they intermingled with humanity. Common speech became the language of trade, and so the dwarves followed suit, and wished to steer clear of lofty elven pride in language. If you can't beat them, join them, a roundabout way of explaining dwarfish assimilation. They are still non-humans, however, and have been subjugated to horrific treatment from humans, fearing folk of stranger ilk. Another note on dwarven culture is that they are responsible for bringing the beloved game of Gwent to the masses. Gwent is the result of CD Projekt Red's design, but the inspiration for the card game likely came from the game of Barrel seen in the books. As a similar dwarven pastime to Gwent. We see many irate dwarves in The Witcher 3 concerned about changes being made to Gwent.
Just you wait! A year on and some tosser will have invented the Wankers of Novigrad faction!
Understandably so, after all, introducing a new faction where it just throws things out of balance.
Hands off our bloody game! We didn't want any new factions! Money, you dozy cunt! Stop diddling with dwarven tradition!
Lastly, I'd like to talk about some of the dwarven characters that play key roles or would be well known to many. There is Yarpen Zigrin, a rambunctious dwarf with a quick temper, especially if drink isn't flowing.
You want 4 fucking pints? Name.
Yarpen made a name for himself and his clan as something of a dragon hunter. Zigrin and company slew the albino dragon Octus.
Gotta tear the legs from the bahookies!
Or so it is told in the ballads. Geralt of Rivia first encountered Yarpen during the hunt for a golden dragon, Villain Trettenmirth, or Borch 3 Jackdaws, which ended without success for the would-be dwarven dragon hunting company. Speaking on dragons reminds me that settling high peaks and mountains is surely enough to spark the ire of those few remaining dragons in the world. For instance, we see Keltulus, a red dragon, burn dwarven homes in Mahakam, as Queen Meve navigates the frozen lands. It should be said, though, that the dwarves cut a deal with this dragon. Weary of fighting over many centuries, the two had learned to live with each other. Until the events of Thronebreaker, that is.
Somebody hold me back around!
There is also Brouver Hoog, clan leader and elder-in-chief of Mahakam, a position of which he has held for centuries. Isolationist and authoritarian in his rule of his peoples. The dwarves are sticklers for old rules and codexes that may not be broken under any circumstances, and Hoog upholds these firmly. Near 400 winters seen when Queen Meve of Lyria and Rivia crosses paths with him during the events of Thronebreaker. Despite his hostility to outsiders, the Elder-in-Chief showed a willingness to aid Queen Meve, or rather use her in deterring the Black Clouds of Nilfgaard.
You're a plucky wench. Handleth summit in that head of yours. To talk so many clans over to your side, stead easy. Who kens? You just might be the end to drive Nilfgaard back across the Yaruga. I could use a pint!
Last but by no means least is the long-standing and faithful friend to Geralt of Rivia, Zoltan Chivay.
Geralt.
As stout and bull-headed as the next dwarf, yet perhaps a tad more reasonable than most, and willing to help those in need, dwarf or human alike. Geralt and Zoltan have found themselves in many scrapes, but nothing that a quick blow to the head with an axe won't fix. It was Zoltan that gifted Geralt a blade of Mahakam making, Sahil, a miracle of Dwarven metallurgy. There are of course many more adventures and tall tales to tell of Zoltan and Geralt, but this video is more about dwarves in general, so perhaps I'll return to Zoltan in the future. Despite the dwarves of the Witcher universe adhering to tired traditions and tropes of the fantasy genre, I enjoy their inclusion in the Witcher world, especially how they are portrayed in the Witcher games. So I thank you for watching this video, and let me know in the comments what you like about dwarves, or what your favourite dwarven character may be. Oh, and a final point, dwarven women most definitely have beards. Apparently you'll never find a prettier lass than a dwarven girl. They say the fuller the beard, the fuller the... well, you get my point. So that about wraps things up. If you like this video, perhaps leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Thank you, and good luck on the path.
I so don't feel like going anywhere. Sit here a while longer.